Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a place for you to learn a lot of new things, get a lot of new information on, and grow your knowledge base. So, if you're someone who's interested in listening to discussions, reviews, then this is the channel for you. And I hope that you enjoy our today's discussion. So, now moving towards the discussion video.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining for this discussion. And this is the first time we have such a big panel for a discussion. And I'm really glad that all of you agree. So, a lot of gratitude, and I'm really, really happy to have all of you here. So, for today's discussion, just for a brief idea for the audience, we have architects for this discussion. And all of the people on the screen, except myself, are all from the same educational background, which is architecture. So I'll just give a quick round of introduction to all of the panelists today, and then we'll go ahead to the discussion. So we have Tushar, who is an assistant professor at IT University, Delhi, and his research interests are in sustainable development, ecology, and of course, teaching. Then we have Sonover with us. Uh, she is an architect based in New York. She's done her master's from Columbia University, and her research interests are in colonial history. So we also have Vasudha with us. She's recently graduated in Masters in Advanced Architecture. Her research interests are in design, ecology, and technology. And we have with us Rizwan, who is a seasoned architect and he's passionate about visual art. And that's something that I really want to discuss today. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining today. And one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead with this discussion, this was something that came up while I was talking to Sunover on call, and we were discussing. It was just brainstorming about this whole idea for the discussion, and we thought that since all of you are working currently in such such varied fields right now, but what's interesting is for me as a sociologist, what as a layman, somebody who has not studied architecture, when I think of this course or when I hear about it, the first thing that comes to my mind is ये लोग घर बनाते हैं like they are building airports, they are building railway stations, or just they are designing construction houses. But when I read your when I was going through all of your bios and the kind of work that you're doing, I was like, okay, this is nothing related to what I thought you might be doing. And, this is something that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people watching will also think that how is someone who has done his graduation in architecture or is interested in colonial history, what is it, what that has that to do with building an airport or building a housing complex. So that's actually what I would like to begin today's discussion here is that how did you get you're currently doing? Like whether it's teaching, but in teaching also to start I read your paper and you're writing about sustainable development. But how is your course or what you've done as your educational background, how is that related to what you're doing today? Or how did you land up into what you're doing today? So, we like to start on that and then we can proceed ahead with others.
Okay. So for me, a bit like I think there were multiple reasons, particularly because I think sustainability is something that is we don't really realize, but that's a core part of architecture anyway. Because you don't design anything, or even if you're designing a house, you don't design it to be lasting for a year or two, right? You at least design it to be sustainable and last for a good few years. So, and that's how you're sort of that's the benchmark of an architect, right? It's not just about how well it has been designed, but also how sturdy it is, how long can it sustain, how much growth can it sustain, right? So that was a part of it. But then, sort of, when I went for my sort of post graduation, A good thing that happened to me was that even though I went for a course which was supposed to be building focused, I worked on a territorial scale, which sort of opened up a lot of avenues for me. And it sort of opened up a lot of, like, it also opened my eyes to the world view, which is basically that even if we look beyond a few buildings, a few blocks, and a few cities, there's a macro scale on which we can talk about, right? So that we can talk about sustainability on a global policy level, right? We can talk about sustainability on electricity, but also in terms of, for example, what is social sustainability, or how do two people interact, or how does a city or a building interact with the inhabitants. So these were just some of the ideas that sort of, yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know about the others, but for me, it was more of a discovery, a process of discovery. I did not really have a particular idea in mind that this is what I want to do, but more or less like these are the avenues that have opened up to me, and this is the one that I like, so I went ahead with one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Rizwan, would you like to contribute?
Yeah, so when I joined architecture, I was having no idea about like what is the whole purpose of doing architecture. Like I was looking to be an artist, but also trying to focus on the family's sort of aspirations. Yeah, this guy will be an engineer like everyone else. But I thought architecture is a like nice amalgamation of both the things. So I finally like join this whole curriculum, which actually I got to know afterwards. It was 5 years when I was trying to apply for it, and I was comparing it with other kind of same courses which required training. So in the beginning, I had no idea. So that training gave me such a rigor to perform in sort of almost any field that I want to. It gave me a process to dissect everything and categorize and sort of make a process of my own for everything I do. Because I have so many varied interests, like from painting to movies to sculptures to making anything out of waste. So and all these things are like you can only appreciate these things out of like from your sight. And then separately, I had like different interests of music and other stuff. So I think architecture provided me like means to that end, where I can do all these things and be also financially secure because I'm creating value every day. So I didn't like contrary to the thought ki this is a different thing I am doing right now. I don't think like that. I think it's one of the branches that architecture always had. You know, when we use the terms like the architect of modern India or the architect of the civil movement, it's because architect is the person who's putting it all together. So for me, like thinking of this thing, okay, it's not, no, it's not a part of it. I know it's a when you find a detail, or probably like how Tushar was saying, ki when he was going into the details of it, then he found ki how where you want to make your dent, because you can't do it all together, you know. So for me personally, I started with architecture, but now I'm moving more towards art and design and like simple problem solving rather than managing a building, which is also a part of it, which Shweti you started with. Ki how you perceive it, like architects, it's like people who are making buildings, which is partly true, but they're also doing like macro scale things, how Tishar described it, ki from all of the
Yeah.
people all together. Yeah. So that was the brief, in brief, like how I started and where I am right now, and then that's
Okay. Thank you. Vasudha, you would like to continue?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know if others will agree, but architecture is such a specific course, but it really opens up doors to wherever you want to go. So it's all the choices that we've made, like where to go next, where to intern, what sort of job, and then they give you a lot of ideas as to what you want to actually do. So when I went for my master's, I was quite sure that I wanted to do something with vernacular architecture, want to build with mud, and these things, interests I had kind of garnered. But after coming here, I was exposed to so many more things, which I didn't even know the possibility of. It really, then you look everywhere and then you find a new interest. So it just develops like that. So after coming here, I understood that I like the tech part of it more, more programming based, like making workflows in the XR, augmented reality, virtual reality. So I didn't consider this possibility, but because of the choices and the exposure, then you just kind of develop on your interests more, and you, the more you get exposed to things, the more you know what you want to do. So I think, yeah, it just has many routes to take. Yeah, that's it.
Very interesting, actually. I'm really enjoying your answer. Sanu, would you like to share your part of it?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say that even because we started this conversation by saying that we have the same sort of undergrad background. I would say that even in undergrad, it started becoming clear in the later years where everybody's interests were going. So, like this set of people sitting here, they were my classmates, but they're also my friends. And like I've seen their interests develop over the years, and even within that VR program, everybody started sort of going their own way during the program itself. So wherever they are right now, wherever they're aiming to head, it's not surprising for at least us among ourselves. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is you mentioned at least you're not calling us engineers.
Mhm.
But
True, true,
but
true.
but I'll just piggyback on that a little bit and say कि वैसे भी there is a lack of understanding of what all architecture as an umbrella term encompasses. Like whatever we are doing, it may be very different in terms of practice, in terms of research interest, whatever it is, but it's all architecture, and there is more to it than what we are doing, right? For me, uh, when I was in undergrad, all my interests were Tushar and I actually shared a lot of interest. Actually,
Yeah,
all of them, all of them, like sustainability, vernacular architecture, working with communities. That was a big thing that I have always been into. That's something that sustained throughout, and it's still true for me. Um, After, like in the last semester of architecture, I had come to intern here in New York City at the time. And this is a company I had chanced upon, and they did architecture with recycled shipping containers. And in that time and that it's still true that the term sustainability is just like thrown around very casually
yeah,
without true understanding of it. So for me to have come to this small studio where they were doing this amazing work, just the idea, like they stood by their ideology of upcycling. What they did with recycled shipping containers, making it into architecture, they were calling it upcycling. And I worked with them. I really learned what they believed in. And of course, it's their work, but it's something that really opened up an avenue for me in terms of understanding, which is earlier what all of them were saying, that it's a lot about expanding your own horizons. Then I did work in Delhi for a bit, and then in postgrad, what I knew was that I wanted to explore my interests in architecture through the lens of the politics of it. And that's the kind of program I chose, and that was my line of work throughout my postgrad, and that's still my line of work in whatever research work I'm pursuing right now. So the politics of it, and especially when it comes to South Asia, I look a lot at decolonizing design, the colonial histories of design, how colonial histories have translated into modern world, and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Well, it's
So just taking a yeah, sorry, please.
I just wanted to conclude it because see, right now after listening to all of you, I sort of realized कि how whatever all you guys are doing, and similarly, I think the feeling is same because that's the beauty of architecture. It's so diverse in nature. Finally,
yeah,
whatever we are
Hmm.
doing, is like we like how Sanobar was also saying, like we have worked with each other, and all these things that we are doing is also makes us like sort of where there are more opportunities for us to work together in from different domain of expertise. Right
yeah,
now we are not only doing one thing at the same time in like of course even when we were doing architecture we had like for one design brief was there and 40 different students had to make designs and everyone's designs were different, right? So
Yeah.
it's that diverse.
Yeah.
yeah. But so just to add to this, but like the beauty I think of it is also in the fact that all these different, which seemingly look like different branches, are still can be linked together like a puzzle, right? Because, for example, we can take some things which is working with augmented reality and then couple that with something related to decolonization, and that can itself still fit together. It's not like these are branches so different, world apart, that
Hmm.
we can't really find a common ground on working. Right, and I think that's one of the sort of beauties of this particular field is that it all brings like it's an all-encompassing field, right? Like I think Sanobar I think mentioned that it's an umbrella term, but the thing with this umbrella is that there are sort of too many branches underneath.
If you enjoyed the video, kindly press on the like button to show us your appreciation. And if you want to share with us your views, you can write it down in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and now we will meet in the next video.